2, 1, live. Francesco, how are you? Every time I talk with an Italian, people immediately in Italy say, "Why two Italians are speaking in English? Why is that? How dare?" I always think, man, I live in UK for 9 years. You live in Estonia.
I live in Estonia, yeah, but I'm actually half British.
Right. So and if you want to talk about these topics and you have a larger international audience, or I talk to an international audience, we cannot speak in Italian. Sorry, guys. Even if my English is rubbish.
Next time, nobody's ever heard.
Next time in Italian. Francesco, really nice to meet you. I always believe that it's very easy to chat with people when things are great, and when maybe something happened, like the recent hack, people is a little bit more cautious to speak. But I don't care, and I really want to have a conversation with you about this NFT world, what Superfluid is doing, and so on. But tell us a second about the hack. What are you doing? What's the situation?
Yeah, so there was a vulnerability that was found in our code on Tuesday. We found out basically as soon as we woke up. Immediately, basically, we found a patch. We built code to fix the patch, deployed that code. We took our system down for a couple of hours so people couldn't do any operations in case the hacker tried to hit again. And since then, we've basically, as I said, we fixed the bug. We've created a compensation plan. We've evaluated the damages. We've spoken to everybody involved. Overall, it wasn't massive. It could have been worse. We were very cautious of kind of new developments. We just put in place a bug bounty. So if there are any security researchers that want to have a look, there's up to $200,000 for critical bounties.
Right.
And we are organizing a new code audit. So we're doing some internal restructuring. But to be completely honest, hacks happen every day. Everybody in DeFi, everybody in the Web3 space, at some point experiments a hack, because the things we're building are new. They are built. They're new technologies. They work in different ways. It's impossible to build perfect code, right? And in the traditional Web 2, this isn't a big deal. You fix bugs. You just kind of push a fix. In Web 3, everything is immutable, right? And everything is final. So the moment the hacker took that money, there's no way for us to get it back. And this is painful. It hurts, but it's also part of why Web3 is so efficient, why Web3 is so powerful, right? So we have to live with this. We have to improve our security, but overall, we have to move forward and keep building.
Got it. And I mentioned you'll compensate back the users or people who lost the money, and you'll try to organize that part.
Yes. So we've actually already so the same day, because so a lot of people are using Superfluid to pay their teams.
Right.
And for that reason, it's very important for us to guarantee continuity, right? Most of the people hit were businesses. They weren't individuals. So we had some, direct relationships. We were able to quickly find a compensation plan that made sense and guarantee that those businesses could get back on their feet and, get back paying their employees, right? Because again, these were people's salaries. So we had to get that done as quickly as possible. That said, this hacker is being watched. We're doing what we can, and we're hoping that we'll be able to put some more pressure on them. We have offered $1 million to them to come clean, give back the rest, and they can keep $1 million as a security bounty. So far, they have not replied. And, if they want to be on the wrong side of history, we will do what we can to pursue them.
It's crazy, Francesco, how many hacks, like huge. I mean, this is very small comparing with the big hack. I mean, Wormhole, it was like, I don't know, 200, 300 million dollars. And I mean, the other day was the Caesar of the 3.2 billion, the old Bitfinex hack. What I don't understand are two things. First is if you hack into a system and you steal, I don't know, Bitcoin or Ether, how are you gonna wash that money? Because on blockchain, I mean, I can start tracking you. So I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So there's a couple of different ways. I'm not an expert in laundering. I really don't want it to look like I am.
Right. Sure.
But because
no, but I mean, from the security point of view, is a problem that you probably have to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the past few days, I've been speaking with quite a few people on the forensic side. So they've explained to me what is likely to happen with these funds.
Right.
And basically, what they've said is people are likely to use a service called Tornado Cash, which is actually where the funds came from. So before performing the hack, the hacker needed some money to pay for the operations, right? To pay for the gas. So the money to pay that gas comes from Tornado Cash.
Yeah.
And now the proceeds of the hack are likely to go back to Tornado Cash. So Tornado Cash is basically a mixing system. You put money in, and then you take it out, and it breaks the link between the sender and the receiver. And it's a great system for people who want anonymity, but obviously that makes it also a great system for people who want anonymity for bad reasons, right? So it's like a lot of things in Web3, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think our criminal organizations very well structured, like in Web2? I mean, I got everyday scams, frauds, identity stolen, cloning of my website, advertising campaign with my name pointing to. I mean, this is an everyday business that is going on, and basically no one is doing anything. Basically, platforms try to delete some account, but I mean, we're talking about a massive, huge business on Web2, scamming people and security hacking. Do you think our criminal organization, or here you also have one hacker that just goes in and try to grab the bag?
I think there's different kinds of attacks that require different kinds of organizations. In some cases, we've also received a kind of phishing attacks. We actually got some this year, which were very well crafted and make me think that they were probably very professional attackers. But what we saw this other time is more likely to be a single security researcher. Like, these are people who know how smart contracts work very well. They're probably working in this full time, but they don't need a big organization, right? They can do all of this on their own. And then what they need is probably help getting the money out. That on that side, they might need help, but executing the hack is it's almost trivial, right? Which is why it's so painful. The cost for them to execute this is not so big.
Interesting. All right, got it. Good luck with that. Francesco, I was really curious about Superfluid and understand better what you do, guys. And was one tweet that got my attention that was streaming into NFTs. And I thought, wow, what's streaming into NFTs? So I started to check Superfluid. I didn't even know that there was an Italian founder. And so I thought, wow, this is really interesting. And let me understand first, and also for people maybe not familiar with Superfluid, what you do exactly.
Yeah, so Superfluid is a DeFi protocol that allows people to stream crypto assets. So streaming basically means transferring money from one account to another over time. So you start a stream, and then basically your assets will start transferring from your account to a counterparty account every second, without needing to click a button a number of times. It's completely automatic. So you make one transaction, and then the funds start streaming to the counterparty.
Got it. So it's basically from one wallet to another wallet.
Exactly. So you make a transaction, and this connects the wallets, and then you hands off, and the money just streams forever.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Question number one. If I send you something from my wallet to your wallet, and I send it, for instance, on Ethereum blockchain, immediately there is the flag, like gas fee. Everyone say, oh my God, gas fee. Wow, why they're so high? And Vitalik said, no, it will be better with Ethereum 2, whatever, with the merge, the purge, the furge, I don't know when. But at the moment is not. So are you using Ethereum as a blockchain? And if yes, how do you solve the gas fee problem?
So we are using a number of different blockchains. So Superfluid is available on different blockchains. We're not currently on Ethereum. But what I'd like to explain is that Superfluid avoids this problem in a slightly different way. So if you think of a recurring payment, right? So imagine I want to pay you every hour, right?
Yeah.
Normally, what you would do is make a transfer every hour. And every time
Exactly.
you make that transfer, you have to pay gas.
Yes.
The way Superfluid works, what I'm doing when I make a transaction is basically setting a pipe between my account and yours. Once I've set the pipe, the money will flow through the pipe completely automatically. So you only pay gas the first time. So when you set the pipe, you pay gas. Afterwards, the money flows on its own. So you only pay gas once. And what this means is you can send money forever, paying a fixed amount of gas at the beginning.
Wow.
So it's very useful for things like a salary, right? Or renting a property, or signing up to a service, right? A subscription, because effectively you sign up and then you can forget about it. You walk away, it keeps paying it forever.
Right. Of course, until there is money in your original wallet.
Yes,
of course.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been a dream. Like I said, you pay by itself. Like there is alchemy in the DeFi world that say that the loan that repaid itself, which is a very fascinating.
Right.
What's the reaction from banks or, I don't know, Visa, MasterCard, I think Stripe, PayPal? Because if I want to pay every time, there is a fee. So the business model is built on I charge you every time. And if it's only once, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's their reaction? We'll see. So for now, the people we've spoken to are intrigued, right? So they're like, oh, what is this? How does this work, right? How can we make sure it doesn't ruin our business, right? We'll see. I think our technology is still quite early, right? So we'll see how long it takes before we can compete with Visa. But what I can say is I definitely think in the future, most payments will go through web-free rails, right? Most payments will be using some sort of cryptocurrency, probably a stable coin, and they will use crypto. And if you can send money every second without paying any fees, you will, right?
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just a lot better than paying a 3% fee once a month, right? Which has fraud, which has transactions that fail, not enough money in the account, overdraft fees, all sorts of problems, right? The beautiful thing with streams is that it's not just that they go on their own, but also that they're very granular, right? Like if you think of your I don't know, your Netflix membership, or well, maybe that's a bad example, but let's think of something bigger. Your rent, right?
Yeah.
Your rent maybe is, I don't know, £800 a month, right? You need £800. There's one day of the month where you need £800, or you're out. You didn't pay, right?
Yeah.
With streaming, because you pay a tiny bit at the time, right? You have a lot more control, right? So if you don't have £800, you only have 500. You can still keep paying, right? You have more time to get all the money you need. So it's a much better system because it gives you a lot more capital efficiency and control over the money you use. So I think in the future we will get paid like this. We will pay all our biggest expenses like this. Businesses will want to get paid like this as well. So that's what we're working towards.
So I'm thinking immediately about some big Italian companies that pay at 240 days. After 240 days, and then you call them after 240 days and say, did you pay? And they say, yeah, we paid. You say, but where are the money? Well, they will come, but we are in the digital age, and you wait and wait and wait. The other thing I was thinking is that I can get get my money, if I work for you, for instance, I can get my money every day, every hour, every second. I can see my little wallet and I see
Yeah.
£3,
You see the
£6,
number go up.
right?
Yeah.
So
We're,
that's pretty
we're
cool.
paying some of our team like that. It feels great. I mean, you open your wallet and the number's going up, 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 up. You know, it's great because the reason it's great, right? Imagine I'm your employee, right? You're paying me in a stream. Now, I wake up in the morning, I open my wallet, stream is stopped. I'm not working for you anymore. You know,
That's a good point. Yeah.
You're from Italy, right? You know what I mean. You
I
work
know.
for
I know
someone,
what you mean.
they don't pay you, you keep working, they still
Yeah.
don't pay you, and
Yeah.
then you know.
But
At
don't
some
worry.
point,
Now I give a call. Don't worry. But you keep working.
you know these stories in Italy where the state is slow at paying, and then they claim the taxes that
Of
they
course.
that they should have paid you for, right? So
Yeah.
you have to
In
pay
advance
VAT
for the
on
next year.
exactly, and then companies close because they can't pay the taxes because the government didn't pay them the invoices in the first
Classic.
place, right?
Yes.
All of this stuff, forget it, right? Here we're talking about getting paid for every second of work, so there's no counterparty risk anymore, and that's
I love it. I wonder, Francesco, if is it too efficient that people would say, no, well, let's government, we prefer, or big companies. Let's do it, with time, probably until the market force these companies or this government to use that system. But as soon as people start to understand that there is this opportunity, I mean, I immediately want to be paid like that. I don't want a different system. I want to be paid like that. And it's very, I really love the fact that it's not only with my employees, but also if I work with a company and, maybe sometimes I have collaborations with companies for branded content or stuff like that. Not much, but sometimes I do it. And I don't know, I already do videos, content, and they'll pay, in 30 days, in 60 days, in 90 days. So I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they not. Maybe they, COVID hit and they call you and say, we have a problem. Let's think about it in 3 months. What do you do? So totally. I love it. I love it.
Counterparty risk is the biggest thing, right? In all business relationship, it's all about risk. So if you can minimize that risk, if you can eliminate it in certain circumstances, it's a very big deal.
What's the business model for you guys? Because you cannot charge every time, which was the classic business model so far. And so Stripe, I think, is $100 billion company, probably more, and they charge you every time. So how does it work?
So Superfluid is not Stripe. We don't want to be Stripe. We're not Visa. We're not a bank, right? Superfluid is a technology company. Superfluid Finance is a technology company that is currently building the Superfluid protocol. And the Superfluid protocol is a set of smart contracts that live on the blockchain. Like, we are not providing financial services. And this is important to clarify because we don't have the same cost structures of a financial institution. We are not a financial institution. We don't want to be a financial institution. We don't hold user funds, right? We don't charge users fees. The way Superfluid works is very much the same way a lot of protocols work, right? A protocol is
like Ethereum or...
Exactly. It's a set of rules that define behavior, right? Now, what we expect to see, and we are starting to see, it's very exciting, our protocol to build services on top that they do charge for, right? So there's an application in our ecosystem which allows you to send a stream to buy in dollar cost averaging fashion, right? So imagine you send a stream of dollars and you buy Bitcoin every second. Right? So this kind of service exists and they charge a fee, right? They are providing a very specific service on top of the protocol and they charge a fee, right? So I think there will be a lot of applications, even like Stripe, right? Maybe like Visa, that's built on top of Superfluid, providing some value add, right? Maybe some sort of insurance, maybe it's some sort of marketing service, right? And they will charge fees, right? So I don't think we're going to get to a world where all payments don't have fees necessarily, but I do think companies will have to justify their value add a lot more clearly, right?
I see.
So
I see. Superfluid basically, as a protocol, build a tunnel between me and you, and in this tunnel, I can channel in information, basically, without
money, well,
so
funds,
money.
assets,
Yeah,
yes.
because I thought money is information, so like funds and a stream of money. So do you have there is a token, or how the
No,
community can participate? No, it's not a token yet.
we don't have a token. The community can participate by joining our Discord, which is discord.superfluid.finance. And in this Discord, you'll find a ton of people building things. It's a great Discord. Very there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of good ideas happening there. There's a lot of builders. So it's very exciting for that reason for me. In terms of other kinds of participation, we're hoping further in the future we will be able to onboard more community members to help us, govern the protocol. And this is something we're working on. We're very excited to increase our decentralization, and we'll talk more about this year for sure. It's going to be one of our focuses.
Interesting. And what's the size of Superfluid at the moment, to give a context of how many people are working on it? What's the general size of the protocol also?
So our team is 14 people right now. The protocol is on 2 networks. We're about to deploy. Some community members are going to deploy on 2 new networks very soon. And these are Arbitrum and Optimism. So we're very excited to kind of support Ethereum layer 2s. The number of users in the protocol is hard to, as you know, in crypto, it's very hard to say who is a user, who is a bot, who is, I don't know. It's impossible to say, but there have been probably at this point about 100,000 different addresses that have touched the protocol. Of those, there's a lot of teams, as I said, paying salaries. So we're very excited about that use case. There's a lot of people using it to DCA, to invest every second into assets. And interestingly, there's a lot of people that do those 2 things. So they receive their salary, and then they invest part of the salary into Bitcoin, right? So imagine these tunnels we were talking about, right? So you have a tunnel coming towards you with, I don't know, $3,000, right? Every second you get a tiny bit. And then you have a tunnel going out with $1,000 buying Bitcoin, and you get the Bitcoin back continuously as well, right?
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
That's interesting, because a big issue in human history, when people were talking about investing money, saving money, was, all right, get 10%, 20%, 30% of what you earn and save it automatically. And people say, but how can I make it automatically? Like, this is automatically, and you can decide, maybe you buy Bitcoin, you can invest in an index fund or whatever you want to do. So it is really interesting.
It's automatic, and one thing I really like to stress is that it's fully non-custodial, right? We're not, because there are banks or fintechs that offer the service that when you get your paycheck, they will invest part of it, right? But they are doing it. They are doing it for you, right? They are an intermediary that is taking your funds and putting them in places for you. In this case, this is completely self-custodied. You are opening the stream to invest your money, right? Nobody can do this for you. So it's completely in your control, right? And I think it's important, because now, obviously there's more and more people joining the Web3 movement, but it's important to remember that self-custody is where this all started, right? It's bringing back responsibility to yourself. But it's not good enough to give people responsibility. We also need to give them the tools to do the same things that they used to do in traditional finance, right? Otherwise, they won't use crypto, right? It's a worse experience. So we need to make sure that as people join the Web3 ecosystem, they get the same level of experience they would get using traditional systems.
Yeah. What about NFTs? What is this streaming into NFTs? How does it work?
So Superfluid is a protocol, right? It's a very, very simple set of rules that allow these kinds of streams to happen. Now, when you can stream money from one account to another, you can create rules whereby the account you're streaming to can change over time, right? So let's make an example of a business. I'm a business, I have some sort of SaaS product, right? Where people subscribe to my service and pay me every second because it's web free. They use Superfluid. They pay you for every second instead of paying you once a month. Now, all this money is coming to one account, but now I want to sell my business. Now, the simple way would be I call all my clients and I say, hey guys, you got to close your stream and open it to this new account, right? You have to open a stream to the new owner of the business. But what we enable, for example, this is the first example I'm going to make, is to tokenize the business. So your entire business's cash flow is an NFT. So someone else can come and buy your entire business and you can just transfer that NFT to them and they will receive all the streams immediately.
Right.
So we use the ERC 721, right? The NFT standard to wrap businesses, cash flows, subscriptions, all of these things can become tradable assets, right? Which basically means it's an NFT, right? But not in the sense that it's a picture of a cat, right? It's an NFT in the sense that it's a unique on-chain tradable asset, right? And maybe it does have a picture of a cat as well, right? But that's an extra. There are some people in our community that are building more fun experiences. So there are some projects where you can buy an NFT of a dog, for example, and it has attached the stream of money. So by buying the NFT, you get some of the money that you paid to mint back, right? There's another project that is building an application with plants. So it's a plant NFT where you buy a seed and then you have to stream into it so that the seed grows into a plant and then a bigger plant. And they're donating part of the money to some NGOs working on the environment space, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do, right? Ultimately, streams are recurring payments that are native to Web3. So anything that you could do with a recurring payment in the traditional world, you can now do in Web3 using streams.
Let me see if I understand.
Yeah.
Give you an example. I write a new book. Let's say that I write a book with a Web3 publisher that understand what Web3 is. Not easy at the moment, but let's say that I find one. So the publisher pays me money for the book. We establish a stream from his wallet to my wallet, but I say, I want you to stream in my NFT, in an NFT that wraps together, wraps the cash flow basically that I receive from you. So the money is coming from the publisher. I get an NFT. In this way, I've created an asset. I could go on the market and say, look, do you want the revenue from my book? Okay, it's there, for instance. Or I could say, all right, now I will sell my NFT collection and I will create another stream from my NFT to an NFT of my token holders, for instance, and they will get 20% of the stream. Is also something like that, like a chain?
You can do all of these things, exactly. So you can...
I love it. I gotta do this. Oh my God.
I mean, this is Web3, right? You are now able to create financial assets on your own. With a no-code interface, you can create financial assets, right? Now, what we're doing is bringing cash flows. So now you can create financial assets that are backed by business cash flows, right? There was a project in a hackathon recently, which basically allows you to create an NFT, which basically people can buy from you. And what they get is they get 20% of your salary.
Yeah.
And then this NFT has an expiry. So basically they get your salary for say, 2 months, and they pay you basically, it's like a loan, right? They're giving you a loan against your future salary, right?
I
So
see.
here
I see.
do you see what I mean? We have an individual who is creating their own salary-backed loan completely on their own. Like this is, again, this is why I love Web3, because it's empowering individuals to do things that before you needed financial institutions to do, right? Like that's revolutionary.
Classic question, Francesco. I imagine everyone asks you the same thing all the time. So, what about regulation in all of this? Sometimes when I hear, I don't know, when I watch Michael Saylor interviews, he's very interesting and inspiring on Bitcoin topic, and he's very cautious about other tokens or other crypto activities that could become securities, and then a stronger regulation probably will arrive. And also, if I can create my, let's say, financial asset, how the end user is protected. So there are all of these concerns. What's your take on that?
So my take is that we're definitely very early, and everybody engaging with cutting edge technology, even financial technology, should be very careful. That's the first thing. And also, you must know that it doesn't matter how careful you are, right? You could still lose funds. And that's important. And that's the first step, because if we start from the premise that users shouldn't ever be at risk, then you're basically saying we should stop building, because everything has risk and there's no way to protect from all of that risk. And that's been the approach by most regulation in the traditional finance sector, which is the reason most people aren't exposed to finance, right? People are not allowed to engage in most financial activity because of regulations which are meant to protect them. Now, I believe in education over regulation. I believe in good design over, regulation which stops people from accessing financial opportunities. But I also understand that saying we should educate people takes a lot more time and is a lot harder than saying we shouldn't do anything, right? People shouldn't be allowed to touch this stuff, right? It's radioactive, stay away. That's a lot easier of an approach for a politician to say this stuff is dangerous, it's going to blow up in your face, you'll lose all your money. That's a lot easier than trying to understand it and explain it. But at the same time, we know that there's a huge opportunity in expanding financial education. And the politicians who are able to understand that opportunity and bring it forward will be the ones that actually take their countries in the right direction. And different countries have different approaches to this. And I'm looking forward to a future where some politicians are brave enough to do this. But I'm also very pessimistic because I come from Italy. So I know what bad politicians look like. So what I can say is, we have to hope that people will be able to take this responsibility, and people will be able to educate themselves, and people will be able to build tools that are safe enough so that people can safely engage with these protocols. But regulatory pressures are generally trying to avoid risks and keep people away from opportunity, even if it means they will lose a potential huge opportunities, right? I mean, imagine if we hadn't been able to buy crypto, right, a few years ago, right? I mean, it was a huge opportunity financially, and that was the case in certain countries. So I think it's going to be a battle, right? It's going to be a cultural war in a sense. And unfortunately, saying we should deregulate finance is not a very popular thing to say. I don't know if you've ever tried saying that with your friends who are not into crypto. It's not very popular,
I can try, but I don't think I'll get many views and a lot of applause, I think.
Exactly. It's not very popular. And I think that's a bit problematic, because actually my opinion, and I'm happy to debate this with anyone, is that over-regulation in finance is what has created all the problems with finance. It's not the lack of regulation, it's over-regulation, because it's made finance this mystical thing that only institutions and only people in skyscrapers in New York and London can touch, and everybody else should fear finance because those people are stealing their money, right? Well, actually, financial opportunity is the strongest driver of economic growth and social mobility that there is, right? Like scaring poor people out of financial opportunities is literally the worst thing you can do, right? So yeah, I have some very strong opinions on
It's
this
interesting. And
topic.
also, I mean, financial education is the number one asset that you should build, I think. And
Absolutely.
I think countries like our dear Italy, I mean, there is not much there, so people they don't know about financial education. They don't know what to do, and so they just go to the bank and say, "What should I do?" And the bank, does the bank really have your best interest in their mind? I don't know. I have my doubts. So definitely, I think things will change, and will be very interesting to see what happens. What's next for Superfluid? If we meet in a couple of years for Pandoro during Christmas, what do you think is what would be a great result for you to have achieved, and how do you see the space in 24 months?
So I think in the next 24 months, we're going to see gas as a problem being not a problem anymore. Like, I don't think we're going to talk about gas or scalability as a limitation anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to mean that we are effectively able to do anything, right? We can build anything. Scalability is not an issue. We can, we can create any number of financial assets. We can, build any number of NFTs, right? All these things that we've always talked about will actually be possible technically, right? Well, at the moment, they're still very difficult technically, right? So there's a lot of work that we still have to do there. But I think in 24 months is a good time frame to imagine some of these problems becoming problems of the past. In terms of Superfluid, what I would see as a great success is effectively everyone in the Web3 economy getting paid like this. Like, my major driver here is improving the way people engage with their workplace. If we can, free people from having to trust their counterparties, to having to trust their employers, to being beholden by their employers, right? We can free people, right? We can give them a lot more control over their lives, and that's something that really drives me. At the same time, I think we'll be able to bring a lot of opportunities to businesses. We'll be able to build a lot of lending and borrowing opportunities built on top of cash flows. That's something I'm extremely excited about. So imagine you're working for a DAO tomorrow, right? And that DAO is paying you a streaming salary, and you are able to borrow against the salary to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
And you can do all of this on chain without the intermediation of a bank, based on your on chain reputation, based on your on chain assets, your on chain employment. Like, this is the kind of future that I want to enable, because the moment you are free from the bank, it doesn't mean the bank disappears. It means the bank has to work 10 times as hard to get you as a customer, right?
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, banks don't have to work at all, right? Whatever they do, you have to use them, because the state basically enshrines them as the kind of pillar of our economy, right? So increasing alternatives is the best way to exert a competitive pressure on existing financial institutions,
Definitely.
which everybody hates, right? So, there's a lot of opportunity there. What else? In terms of Superfluid, one thing that makes me really hopeful, actually, is a friend of mine who recently lost his job due to COVID has just started working for a DAO. He knew nothing about Web3, and
Right.
his first job in Web3 is paid in a stream.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
That's so exciting for me, right? Those are the kinds of experiences that we want to enable, right? You leave your job in Web 2, you join Web 3, you get paid every second, and you have access.
I think once you experience that, that's it. You don't go back. That's the important thing. Francesco, was so interesting. Good luck for everything, and let's keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's keep in touch. Let's chat in 2 years then. I want to see how
I'll
we
bring
did.
the Pandoro.
Okay, sounds good.